Hello, it's great to have you with us at this hour. I'm Daniel Che here to bring you the latest. Let us begin first with the headlines. The first summit between South Korea and Mekong wraps up in Busan. They released a joint declaration that stipulates ways to build closer ties in various fields. President Moon Jae-in sits down for talks with his Vietnamese counterpart at the nation's top office. Topics include the peace initiative on the Korean peninsula and boosting bilateral economic cooperation. Concerns grow over South Korea's shrinking population. The country's birth rate reaches record low in the third quarter. The first ever summit between South Korea and the 5 Mekong River nations was held. The attending leaders unveiled an agreement that lays out the foundation of future cooperation. Park Hee-jun has our top story.
South Korea and the 5 Mekong nations have agreed to focus their cooperation on 7 key areas, including culture, agriculture, ICT, and security. In the Mekong-Han River Declaration adopted during the very first MEKONG-KOREA Summit on Wednesday, South Korea, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam chose 7 areas of concentrated cooperation. They included designation of the year 2021 as the Mekong-Korea Exchange Year to promote culture and tourism and celebrate the 10th anniversary of their cooperation. Seoul will also share with Mekong its experiences related to agriculture, infrastructure, and technology, encouraging business exchanges in these fields. And to construct a more peaceful and safer Mekong region, they will strengthen cooperation in water resources management, biodiversity, and forest management. The 2 sides will also jointly respond to issues like climate change, natural disasters, drug trafficking, and cybercrime.
한메콩 협력의 새로운 원년으로 기억될 오늘, 우리는 한메콩 관계를 획기적으로 발전시켜 나갈 초석을 마련했습니다. 정상회의의 결과 문서로 채택한 한강 메콩강 선언은 경제 협력을 넘어 사람 중심의 평화와 번영의 동반자로 가는 이정표가 되어줄 것입니다.
Also discussed at the gathering was President Moon's plan to turn the demilitarized zone into a global peace zone. Acknowledging that peace and stability on the Korean peninsula is essential to their co-prosperity, the Mekong nations reaffirmed their support for the president's peace initiative. And through active trade, South Korea and the Mekong region were able to record a trade volume of $84.5 billion, more than double that of 2011. They plan to further promote free trade and investment, resisting protectionism, and upholding a transparent, free, and inclusive multilateral trading system. South Korea and Mekong countries have agreed to meet every year on the sidelines of ASEAN-related summits. They will continue to deepen their partnership based on this joint declaration until they meet again in Vietnam next year. Park Hee-jun, Arirang News, Busan.
There will be obstacles, but South Korea cannot give up its dream of becoming what a rich nation that connects neighboring powers can be. That's the message by President Moon Jae-in sent via social media after wrapping up the meetings today. And as the start of the goal, he pointed to Busan as a city linking land and sea. The South Korean leader also highlighted the ASEAN countries' great potential for growth, reiterating that economic cooperation with them will bring great benefits for future generations. Back in Seoul, President Moon Jae-in held a summit with his Vietnamese counterpart. He asked for the country to take part in an important role in the Korean peace process. Shin Se-min has the highlights from that meeting.
The leaders of South Korea and Vietnam held one-on-one talks in Seoul following the multilateral ASEAN and Mekong summits in Busan. During their bilateral summit meeting on Wednesday evening, President Moon Jae-in asked Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc to take a constructive role in the Korean peace process as Vietnam takes the chair of the ASEAN bloc next year. The presidential office of Cheong Wa said that President Moon, while briefing the visiting Vietnamese PM on his administration's peace drive on the Korean peninsula, also requested for joint Seoul-Hanoi efforts to build peace and prosperity in the region and around the world. Vietnam had previously played a significant role in providing a platform for nuclear talks to continue as it hosted the second North Korea-U.S. summit earlier this year. With Vietnam also slated to serve as a non-permanent member of the UNSC through 2021, Vietnamese leader reportedly expressed its commitment to keen attention and an active role in relation to the Korean peninsula. On top of that, the leaders also saw eye to eye on the economic front.
올해 양국은 전략적 협력 동반자 관계 10주년을 맞습니다. 베트남의 산업국가 목표와 한국의 신남방 정책의 시너지 효과를 한 차원 더 높여나가길 바랍니다.
Our two nations are partners that trust each other and cooperate on strategic levels. We are also close friends. Vietnam also hopes to upgrade our strategic cooperative partnership.
The two leaders also agreed on expanding investment in IT, industrial materials, and financial services while hoping to broaden the scope of official development assistance in the public administration's front. Just as the boom of the Vietnamese national soccer team led by South Korean coach Park Hang-seo, President Moon expressed hope that the two nations' synergy effect is further amplified in their future bilateral relations. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Staying with this year's ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit, it was a chance for participating nations to explore the huge economic potential of their partnerships based largely on Southeast Asia's abundant natural and human resources. Hong Yu sheds light on the prospects for future cooperation.
Through the commemorative summit, 3 declarations have been signed promising peace and co-prosperity. South Korea and ASEAN came up with a common blueprint for their next 30 years of trade, investment, and human resource exchanges. And with the Mekong-Han River Declaration signed on Wednesday, South Korea and the 5 Mekong countries hope to establish their own partnership for people, prosperity, and peace. South Korea is committed to helping develop rural areas in the Mekong region through various cooperative projects. Using Korea's Economic Development Cooperation Fund, it plans to promote regional connectivity by advancing infrastructure in the Mekong region. ICT-driven projects are planned to help bring the region a step closer to the digital economy. The two parties will also stimulate deeper interaction between small and medium-sized enterprises and startup companies to allow efficient business and create investment opportunities across the region. Through the diplomatic events that took place in Busan, South Korea could secure solid support from ASEAN for the new Southern policy that will help develop both regions over the next 30 years. Now, with help from ASEAN as well as companies and experts from the region, the government plans to promote the new Southern Policy 2.0 starting from 2021. Hong Yu, Arirang News, Busan.
Hyundai Motor will invest more than $1.5 billion to build a new factory in Indonesia. The move is aimed at targeting the local market, which is currently dominated by Japanese car makers. The Korean auto giant signed a preliminary deal during an event attended by President Joko Widodo. For details, let's turn to our Park Se-young.
Hyundai Motor has announced that it will build a manufacturing plant in Indonesia that will be able to produce 250,000 units a year. This will be the car maker's first car plant in Southeast Asia, and the deal comes amid a prolonged sales downturn in China. The new plant will be located in Daltamas Bekasi, an industrial area 40 kilometers east of Jakarta. Hyundai Motor said it will invest approximately $1.55 billion in the new factory from now until 2030, including product development and operation costs. The new facility will break ground this December, and it will start producing in late 2021 with an annual capacity of 150,000 vehicles. Hyundai plans to gradually increase the output volume to 250,000 units a year, depending on market demand. It plans to produce small SUVs, compact minivans, and electric vehicles specifically designed for the Southeast Asian market at the new plant.
By exploring new markets like ASEAN's largest auto market in Indonesia, we will secure our future growth.
Vehicles assembled at the Indonesian plant will be exempt from import tariffs, which range from 5% to 80% in the ASEAN region. The plant will cater to the automobile market in Southeast Asia, which is currently dominated by Japanese car makers and is expected to grow from over 3 million units in 2017 to 4.5 million in 2026. Indonesia is the biggest automobile market in the ASEAN region, selling nearly 1.2 million vehicles last year. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
South Korea plans to bring the latest smart technology such as VR and 5G to Southeast Asia. This comes at a time when the respective governments look to deepen cooperation in related fields. Oh Soo-young explains further.
This virtual reality experience zone in Seoul offers a leap into the future, where people can immerse themselves in experiences and places that are in real life beyond their reach. From car racing to sports and battle games, the booths here run on KT Corporation's latest digital gadgets, and the graphics run seamlessly on its super-fast mobile network. This is just one of the ways that South Korean IT firms are partnering with countries in the ASEAN bloc to build digital infrastructure and also incorporate state-of-the-art technologies into everyday life. In August this year, a VR centre was also set up in Malaysia through a joint venture with a local company, bringing the latest immersive gadgets and entertainment to the local population. Not only that, but the space encourages the growth of the local content industry.
It's a testbed and a gateway to the regional market via neighbouring countries like Singapore and Vietnam. Developers can test their own VR content at the centre to see the reaction from visitors, who can benefit from the latest digital gadgets and entertainment.
Mobile and IT giants have been expanding their businesses in the ASEAN region.
We are partnering with ASEAN countries to set up cables, satellites, communications infrastructure, and services for broadcast and media as well. We also have solutions for all sectors related to the Fourth Industrial Revolution, including communications, energy, health, and public safety.
Korea's advanced IT know-how and its world-first 5G mobile network is expected to contribute to building digital infrastructure and smart cities in ASEAN countries.
Korean firms can help overcome infrastructure needs and gaps for social development with their strength in mobile network technology and data science. Smart cities based on the Internet of Things will help bridge the gap as rapid urbanization proceeds in ASEAN countries.
There's huge potential for a vibrant IT and content market in ASEAN countries as they are jumping straight into wireless networks and smartphones rather than first transitioning to landlines like Korea did.
Korea's ICT programs in ASEAN countries will also include nurturing talent, training young people and professionals, especially women in digital skills and literacy, to encourage technological advancement and entrepreneurship. Oseong, Arirang News.
Let's approach the summit from a different angle, this time through the eyes of the Southeast Asian media. Kim Bo-kyung zooms in on their assessment and what ASEAN members were particularly interested in.
South Korea's hosting of the commemorative summit appears to have been a success in the eyes of the foreign media.
The security and the assurettes and other personnel are so accommodating that they attend to every concern and to every need of delegates, of media, and those who are part of this summit. So if I'm gonna rate this preparation, if I'm gonna rate this kind of hosting, I think I'm gonna consider it as an all-kill performance or an all-kill preparation.
Media outlets from ASEAN countries have reported on how strengthening ties with South Korea could be an opportunity for their own countries to grow further. According to the Jakarta Post, Indonesian President Joko Widodo was interested in South Korea's successful urban development. He visited Busan's Kamcheon Cultural Village and ordered officials to use the village as a model of urban rehabilitation. Calling the village an inspiration, the president wanted to transform rundown districts in Indonesia into tourist attractions. Malaysian media outlet Malay Mail also emphasized the importance of connectivity between South Korea and Malaysia by quoting the country's prime minister. It said South Korea, which possesses the required expertise in infrastructure construction and economic expansion, could be a model for ASEAN countries. Technology was also an important area Southeast Asian countries were interested in.
We saw President Moon showing off high-tech products, Samsung products, products of other companies, robotic products, the wonders of the high-tech age to these leaders of these countries to show what could be done here and what they could export to Southeast Asia.
Vietnam News, a daily English language newspaper, quoted the Prime Minister of Vietnam, stressing how he would like to encourage investors in Seoul to expand their investment, especially in the fields of electronics, energy, technology, and smart cities, further enabling South Korea to transfer new technologies to Vietnam. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News, Busan.
President Moon and the leaders of the 5 Mekong countries did more than just hold talks. Together, the dignitaries attended a special exhibition showcasing their joint achievements in research and conservation of biological resources. Kim Mo-kyun tells us more.
On the sidelines of the first MEKONG-KOREA Summit, a special exhibition on the biological resources of the Mekong region has been held to look back at the past 12 years of cooperation between South Korea and the Mekong states in the biological sector. Under the theme Life on the Mekong, Connecting People, Creating a New Future, the exhibition features various videos and real specimens of the rich flora and fauna of the Mekong region, as well as achievements of cooperative projects between Mekong nations and South Korea. On display are some 200 species of wildlife from the Mekong region, including donated specimens from each Mekong country, as well as biological resources secured through joint research and illustrated books jointly published by researchers in the region. South Korean President Moon Jae-in toured by the exhibition hall together with the heads of the Mekong states, and during his joint press statement after the tour, he vowed to help preserve the biodiversity of the Mekong region and support the region's efforts to have a sustainable future.
우리는 메콩강 유역을 둘러싼 초국경 위협에 공동 대응하고 생물 다양성, 수자원, 산림 분야 협력을 강화하기로 했습니다.
President Moon also said the countries will establish the MEKONG-KOREA Biodiversity Center and the MEKONG-KOREA Water Resources Joint Research Center to better conserve and utilize biological resources and work together to ensure the sustainability of the Mekong River. The National Institute of Biological Resources, the host of the event, says that it hopes the displays could help visitors gain more interest and learn about the biodiversity in the Mekong region. The special exhibition will be open to the public from November 30th to December 27th. Kim Mo-kyun, Arirang News, Busan.
Seoul is sending back a North Korean merchant ship that crossed the northern limit line at around 6:40 a.m. Wednesday near South Korea's Baekneung-do Island. An official from the Joint Chiefs of Staff said the military fired warning shots at around 12:30 p.m. following broadcast warnings in accordance with protocol to prevent the vessel, which was near Socheong-do Island at the time, from advancing further south of the maritime border. The ship is seen to have moved towards the NLL due to bad weather and engine failure and floating towards the West Sea without motor propulsion. Key reform bills put on a parliamentary fast track months ago have been automatically referred to the plenary session. Some of them are related to an electoral and prosecutorial reform, both of which face strong resistance from the main opposition bloc. Woo Jung-hee has the latest from the National Assembly.
In April, South Korea's ruling Democratic Party and 3 minor parties put 4 key political and judiciary reform bills on a parliamentary fast track, despite strong opposition from the main opposition Liberty Korea Party. These bills aim to introduce a mixed-member proportional representation system, set up an independent unit to probe corruption among high-ranking officials, and give more investigative authority to the police. Fast forward 7 months, and on Wednesday, these bills were automatically referred to the Parliament's plenary session. This means that the bills may be put to a parliamentary vote at the session on December 3rd if things follow the National Assembly Speaker Moon Hee-sang's plan. The main opposition Liberty Korea Party is strongly protesting against these bills. They claim the process of putting these bills on a fast track was illegal in the first place.
I call for an invalidation of the fast-tracked bills and a discussion about the electoral system from square one.
The party's chairman, Hwang Kyo-wan, has been on a hunger strike for 8 straight days, and he says there's more he has to do. The National Assembly Secretary General Yoo In-tae visited Hwang on behalf of Parliamentary Speaker Moon Hee-sang and told him to cooperate on the fast-tracked bills. The ruling Democratic Party is also calling the Liberty Korea Party to come out for dialogue.
The coming week is a critical time when all lawmakers at the National Assembly will have to put in a lot of political effort.
The ruling Democratic Party and 4 other minor parties held their first meeting on Wednesday to discuss the electoral reform. The rival parties are at a standstill, but there's still room for a dramatic last-minute turnaround as there are voices within the main opposition party calling for negotiations with other parties. It'd be tough for the ruling Democratic Party to reform the electoral system without an agreement from the main opposition party, especially as the general election is only 4 months away. Woo Jung-hee, Arirang News.
Moving on to other stories now, the number of births hit a record low again in the third quarter, suggesting South Korea might begin to face some changes in its demographics. The total fertility rate was also at its lowest during the same period. Yoon Jung-min helps us look beyond the digits.
The birth rate in South Korea fell again to its lowest level in the third quarter of this year, adding concerns over the shrinking population. Statistics Korea said on Wednesday that a total of around 73,000 babies were born from July to September, down some 8% on year. It's the lowest number for the third quarter since data was first collected in 1981. The total fertility rate, which represents the number of children that a female is expected to have in her lifetime, came at just 0.88 during the same period. It's the second straight year that the fertility rate has gone below 1, and also the lowest number for the third quarter since data was first compiled in 2008. Experts say a fertility rate of at least 2.1 is needed to sustain the population. The latest figures could be a signal of inevitable demographic changes in Korean society, which has fueled discussions on issues of retirement extension or welfare expenses. The number of marriages was also down 0.9% from a year earlier to some 53,000 for the July to September period. The number of divorces went up some 4% to over 27,000 during the same period. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
The $1 billion South Korea is paying for the upkeep of American forces is an adequate amount. That's coming from John Hamre doing an interview with Voice of America. The president of the Center for Strategic and International Studies said Washington is stationing troops in South Korea for its own national interest, adding there is no minimum amount Seoul has to pay. The Trump administration is demanding a five-fold increase of $5 billion. Hamre also mentioned that USFK was not being paid to protect South Korea, adding the defense cost-sharing talks shouldn't start from the precondition that Seoul owes Washington. He warned of the possible weakening of the alliance given the continued conflict over the issue.
There's a high possibility of heavy snow advisories being issued in the mountains of Gangwon-do province, as 30 centimeters of snow is expected to pile up from tonight until tomorrow night. And the east coast and northeastern mountains of Gyeongsang-buk-do province will also see around 10 centimeters of snow. Meanwhile, a maximum of 60 millimeters of rain is expected to fall on the eastern parts of the province until tomorrow night. And tomorrow, gales will reach up to 65 kilometers an hour in the seas and waves will be up to 5 meters high, so there could also be some high wind wave alerts. Elsewhere, it's going to be occasionally cloudy across the country, with temperatures similar to today's. Taking a closer look at our readings, Seoul, Gwangju and Chuncheon will wake up to 1 degree Celsius and Gyeongju 5 degrees. And temperatures will rise by about 8 degrees in the day. Highs will reach 9 degrees in Seoul and Gyeongju, 11 in Daejeon and Daegu, and 13 in Gwangju, Busan and Jeju. Tomorrow, Busan will wake up to rainy and overcast skies with a low of 8 degrees, and a high will peak at 13 degrees, while rainy spells will stay into the late afternoon. So you might want to keep your umbrella handy. I'll leave you with the weather conditions around the world.
These are the stories we're following at this hour. From all of us here at Arirang News, wherever you may be tuning in from, thank you for staying with us.